Hi, my name is Fiona Fayula, and today we're going to talk about whether you have made a choice or a decision. Now, you've probably made a choice to watch this video as it was nice and quick. You wouldn't have thought too much about it and you would have pressed play. Whereas sometimes we take a little bit longer to think about what we want in life. And so that would be making a decision because it has more of an impact in the way we live and what we want. So sometimes you'll hear people say choices. I couldn't choose what to do. I made a choice. But they don't explain that it might have been a decision. It may have taken them a little bit longer to arrive to the outcome, which would have been the decision. Now, choice is very, very quick. You don't think about it too much. You just make the choice of between 2 or 3 things. It doesn't matter how many different things. It's a choice. So let's see what it takes to make a choice. You identify the problem. What is the problem that you have to make a choice about? And then you think, okay, what factors, what options do I have that I need to consider to make the choice on? And then you just make your choice. Very, very simple. No need to think about it too much. You'll make it very quickly off the mark. Some examples of making a choice would be going out for a cup of coffee. You make a choice whether you have an espresso or whether you have a cappuccino, a latte. That is very quick, it's very simple, you haven't thought too much about. You just think, oh, what do I feel like today? And make that quick choice. When does a choice become a decision? So we'll give you an example. So let's do the restaurant as an example that you have to go out to eat and you're thinking about whether you're going to eat Asian or Italian. The options would be if you had a dietary requirement, for example, and you're going to go to the Asian restaurant or the Italian restaurant, you may have had a look at the menu at each place and go through what you can and can't eat. Now, if you didn't have a dietary requirement, it would have been very simple. What do I feel like? Oh, I feel like a stir fry tonight. Well, if you're going to have a stir fry, you would pick Asian. Very, very quick. No major decision that needed to be made. Now, when this changes, so it's just changed from that choice to a decision. Now, the factors to make a decision, I'll explain that first before I'll show you that rest of that example, how it can actually change. To make a decision, you would still have the first 3 the same as a choice, and that would be identifying the problem. What are your options? Do you have to gather information around each option because it's a little bit more in depth? Then in the choice, you would have selected your option. But with a decision, you then have another step. You evaluate every bit of information that you have chosen. So it would be, for example, the restaurant example. You've identified the problem. What am I going to eat tonight? You've chosen, okay, I can either eat Italian or Asian. Now you have a dietary requirement, so you've looked at the 2 menus and say, I can't eat a lot of the food at the Asian place because that doesn't complement my dietary requirement. But then, there's a risotto, a mushroom risotto I can have at the Italian restaurant. So you've already got your options. You're gathering that information by having a look at the 2 menus. And then you are saying, right, what are my options in each menu? And then you make your decision. So I'm going to make the decision, I'm going to the Italian restaurant and eating the mushroom risotto because that caters for my dietary requirement and I feel like a mushroom risotto tonight. So that would be one of the more basic decisions that you would make. You would review it later on after you eat and think, oh, well, I feel great. That was a great meal. Or you go, oh my gosh, my stomach hurts. That didn't compliment my stomach. So that could be reviewing your decision. For example, another example could be you're going to buy a house. Now that would be a major decision in your life, buying your house. So now you have, okay, you've seen 2 houses. One is a double story, one is a single story. Okay, what are the pros and cons of both? the double story, it's much bigger, you have children, and you think, okay, my children can be upstairs, all the mess is upstairs, no one sees all the mess in the house downstairs when they come over. But say for example, the single story, they would all see that mess. But then the single story might be in the school zone that you prefer. So if you're thinking of going to a particular school, sending your children to a particular school, you may need to consider the house has to be in that zone. And if the only house that you see at that point in time is the single story, you have to weigh the pros and cons, whether that is suitable for you now and get you through the years of the schooling, for example, because you're in that zone. So the other house though would be ample room. You wouldn't have to worry. You would be able to live there for a few years. Now, another factor that might be taken into consideration would be how much do you like to move? If you're one that moves every 5 years and you're not too worried, you enjoy moving because it's one way to declutter the house and throw out what you don't need, and you always have the current things in your home, well, that could be a major decision and a major factor that, you know what, I prefer to go to a smaller home for now, get my children in the schooling, and then in 5 years' time, you know what, I might then change my mind. So that would be then, if you chose to go to that smaller school and stay there for say 5-6 years, see your children through that younger primary school, then you might turn around and say, well, let me review that decision that I made all those years ago. And it might come to the fact that you have to make a new decision again and go through all the points again. So by reviewing the decision you made those years ago, you're now that you've sort of closed off that initial decision, but you're now making that new decision. If you then say, you know what, we have to start to move. So then you go to the factor, okay, is it going to be this house or this house again when you start looking at homes again? So it can be quite complex. A decision may take longer to make as well. You won't make it off the cuff like you would for a choice. A choice you don't really need to think about. It's very, very quick. So making a choice or decision, when someone says to you, you have a decision to make, you need to spend more time in considering the outcome of that decision, that you're not going to make that very, very quick. So if you're making that choice, it would be quick. I hope this has simplified either a choice or decision for you. If you like this channel or this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And I look forward to seeing you next time with another video. Bye.